getting ready for tonight's Bulls-Celtics showdown at 7:30. He's averaging almost 27 points per game, 29 there since April 1st. You have NBA Countdown happening right after SportsCenter here on ESPN, and then, of course, the game beginning 7:30. We touched on the East playoff race a little bit earlier. Let's talk about the West, though. The Jazz are just one game ahead of the Suns for the top seed in the conference. Utah only 6-4 in their last 10 without Donovan Mitchell. They have won 3 straight, though. Now, Pelicans, as we said, have Zion Williamson now out indefinitely. Well, they're a game and a half back of the Spurs for 10th place and the final spot in the play-in tournament. It's a tough task in Philly tonight. They won't have Brandon Ingram either. He's currently out with an ankle injury. Then a huge game tonight between the Lakers and the Blazers. The winner gets the head-to-head tiebreaker. The loser then moves to the first play-in spot. Since Damian Lillard's rookie year, Portland has won 21 of the 30 games they have played against LA. And because the Lakers currently have a better conference record than the Blazers, Portland would be the 7th seed in the play-in tournament based on these current standings. They would play the Warriors in the 7-8 matchup. The Grizzlies and Spurs would be that 9-10 game. The Pelicans will be without Zion indefinitely. They are 1.5 games back of the Spurs for that last spot, as we just said. Now, for more on this Zion injury, here's Pelicans head coach Stan Van Gundy. This is new on SportsCenter.
He certainly takes a lot of hits. You know, we've been on the referees hard. I know I have been every game. And I get the response that, well, how many free throws has he shot? And my response is always not enough. Not enough. We're going to have to find a way. He's going to have to find a way. I don't know if we have to fit him with protective equipment because they're just going to let people whack at him as much as they want. Zion also, he doesn't complain. He doesn't yell at officials. He doesn't flop. He doesn't sell calls. He's the kind of guy that should get favorable treatment because of the way he acts, but that's not what works. What works is yelling and complaining and flopping and selling calls and all of that. He doesn't do any of that.
NBA Countdown's Jay Williams joining us now with more. Hi, Jay. Let's talk about this Zion news. He's out indefinitely. What's your assessment of their postseason hopes now?
Well, they're not going to make the play-in tournament. They're a game and a half behind the San Antonio Spurs, and I don't give a damn what anybody says. You cannot tell me that a guy who attracts so much gravity with the basketball, averaging 27 points per game over his last 10, averaging 29, shooting 50+% from the floor, the way he's able to attract the defense, he does so much for this team. I don't think they're going to get into the play-in tournament. I think that's unfortunate for us as fans because we wanted to see that opportunity to see Zion play in the offseason. But here's the question that starts to draw about Zion. This is now the second season in a row where he's had to deal with injuries. Granted, it's a pinky, but I don't want that narrative to be out there about Zion, about being injury prone. He is one of the most unique players the game of basketball has. Unfortunately, now the second year in a row that he's dealing with an injury.
Yeah, and so physical, and that's exactly how these things happen. Let's talk about this Lakers team. They're trying to avoid that play-in tournament as they now head to Portland tonight. Clinging on to that 6th seed, you're shaking your head like absolutely not. How important is the Lakers and their chances now to stay out of the play-in tournament? You think they have a chance?
You know, I think if you're the Lakers, do you want to be in the play-in tournament? No. But if you have to be in the play-in tournament, fine, so be it. I just need AD and LeBron James healthy. I'll even take LeBron James at 80%. I'll take AD at 80%. I still think this team is talented enough when LeBron James is on the court. Obviously, question marks about AD's ankle, his back spasms. We'll see it tonight. I think they will be in the playoff game. I've been saying this for the past month and a half. It goes to the real question we will end up asking ourselves is after they're in a playing game, if they get that 7th or 8th seed, it's time to see, are the Utah Jazz or the Phoenix Suns, are they for real? Because we've been talking about them all season long, about they are the truth, believe in the hype. It's time for this basketball team, these teams. CP3 is in the MVP conversation. You talk about the Utah Jazz, one of the deepest teams there is in the league. If you have to go against the Lakers in round 1, you're going to get a chance on a national level to prove that you are the team that we've been saying you've been the whole regular season.
That's right. They've shown this entire season. Those two teams top in the West are for real. But the Lakers, if they have anything to say about it, they'll try to do their best. We know LeBron, of course, doesn't want to play in that play-in tournament. NBA Countdown beginning right after us here on ESPN. Jay. Well, once again, the breaking news on SportsCenter today. The Pelicans' Zion Williamson is out indefinitely with a broken ring finger on his left hand, which happens to be a shooting hand. He appeared to injure himself in Tuesday night's game against the Warriors. Once again, here's David Griffin calling out the NBA refs for how Zion is officiated.
Quite frankly, he's injured now because of the open season that there's been on Zion Williamson in the paint. He has been absolutely mauled in the paint on a regular basis, to the point that other players have said to him, I'm going to keep doing this to you because they don't call it. So there is more violence encouraged in the paint against Zion Williamson than any player I've seen since Shaq. But I'm more disappointed in us, quite frankly, that we weren't able to bring the appropriate sense of urgency to the league conversation around the way he was officiated.
Well, Jeff Van Gundy will be on the call for the Celtics Bulls game tonight, and we're going to get to that in a second. But first, Jeff, I just want to hear your reaction to those strong comments from the Pelicans general manager that we just heard.
Well, I'm a little bit biased since my brother's the coach, but I've watched every game but two, and I would agree with David Griffin wholeheartedly. This idea that asking how many free throws has he shot isn't the appropriate question. The appropriate question is, was he fouled or was he not? And I think, David Griffin mentioned Shaq. I coached another guy in Yao Ming where it was absolutely open season on him. And frankly, the NBA doesn't want power game. They want a finesse perimeter game. They reward those players with foul calls. If you're a power player, you are not getting calls appropriately in this league because the league doesn't want that type of game.
Interesting perspective there. Let's shift to now the game that you're calling tonight, and let's talk about this Boston team. It's been an overall pretty disappointing season for the Celtics, but how dangerous do you think that they could be in the postseason with Jason Tatum healthy and ready to go and playing his best?
See, I look at it differently. I don't see the Boston Celtics season as disappointing at all. I think it's understandable when you look at all the injuries they've had and COVID-related issues that they've experienced. So they haven't had their core four together. Fournier, who was an addition, I think a very good one by Danny Ainge, has missed most games, and he's still bothered by the COVID virus. So to me, what's happened this season is what happens when you have a lot of disruption. But I think they're a very good team when whole and when healthy. I think they're going to be a difficult out, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them represent the Eastern Conference in the NBA Finals if they're whole and healthy.
Wow, a full healthy squad could be the difference. Well, we'll get to see that team tonight. Celtics Bulls, 7:30 Eastern on ESPN. Jeff Van Gundy on the call. Thank you.
All right, to baseball. The Cubs just polished off a 3-game sweep with the Dodgers for the first time since 2008 when they were division winners under